Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today, as promised, we're going to talk about the Freewell ND filters for the DJI Action 2. Let's go. I'm Scott, this is Scott's Reviews, and today we're talking about Freewell, but don't forget to subscribe and like, because I got more things coming, like Insta.to again, maybe do I return it? Anyway. And more with the Action 2 because this guy is getting returned to Best Buy, but it will be replaced. It will be replaced. Freewell was kind enough to send me some filters for review. In the package came an ND. Of course, I give you a little card inside with a little cleaner inside, stickers, and cleaner to clean the lens and stuff. So the ND filters come in their own little case. And they are slick. All right, this is the ND 1000. If you don't know about a long exposure, really used more on photography when it comes getting that sky and water to kind of buff out and look all smooth. Open up your exposure and just let it run for a while. Either put it in bulb, figure out your time, mostly around 30 seconds. You want to keep it open and then get that funky shot, right? So you can play with it on these fun action cameras. Tripod or gimbal are needed, but first let's look at what it is and how it fits. All right, so on the back you can see here they even have the cutouts for the holes for the speakers and two little magnets to go on. So you pretty much, it's kind of dummy proof. You can kind of spin it around until, you love that sound, don't you? Until it kind of snaps on. Or you kind of basically read Freewell and read what ND filter you have and then make it all match up. But if you can look at, see that? Focus? Look at the, the craftsmanship is perfect. I mean, it's same color exactly, and it just smooth as anything on there. I don't found any raised edges at all. And it just looks awesome when you put that thing on, right? So that's the 1000. Let's break out the standard day pack. This is a 4-pack, which comes with the ND 8, 16, 32, and the Polarizer. The Polarizer is cool looking. This also comes with a bigger envelope inside with the microcloth and everything inside, stickers, just bigger from the other package. And let's open up. It looks like it's just 2 in here, but there's actually 4. I think it kind of, magnets kind of attract each other while they're in the case. There's your set package. Let's break out this one first because it's the most fun one to play with, right? So this is the Polarizer you can put on. I'll kind of match it up here. Boom. So Freewell up top and CPL at the bottom. And then it has a ring. So this ring, you can spin it. So when you do it with like 2 fingers. And don't just do it with one, you may push it off. So just do it with 2 fingers as you spin to get the perfect horizon and background look color you want. You can either make the skies darker or bluer or whatever, or make the water look a different way. And we're gonna play with that versus me just talking about it. But that looks awesome. Take that one off. And we'll just hop on a ND 16. It says right here at the bottom, each one says what it is, which is nice. You don't have to guess. And then it fits like that. All right, let's test her. All right, doesn't come off easy. That's good. Now, would I connect this and do a lot of action sports with it? Nope, because it'll take a hit, something like that, it'll fall off. So this is more for slow filming, tripod, gimbal, that kind of stuff. Let's talk about ND filters and action cameras. Well, today with the electronic stabilization that goes into these great cameras, it likes high shutter speeds. So if you go down to the 180 rule and match that up, and then you do a lot of running and expect that hyper smooth, or well, of course what's on the DJI is rock steady, to work out, it's not going to work out that great. I did the video before with GoPro and some ND filters, and I was confused about why it looked horrible. I will test it out with this, of course, to give you an example. If somehow DJI does it differently, then that's great, but I think it's all going to be the same. You ask, well then why do I buy ND filters for an action camera? This is when you're going to use more of a slower shots, not going to be relying on that stabilization kind of thing. You can use it on a gimbal. You can put it on a tripod, do time lapses, sunsets, anything like that, or you want to go ahead and bring down that shutter speed. So I've used Freewell products before. They've always make a great product. I use Freewell filters on my Pocket 2. I have a very small one for that, and it works great with that. The little Polarizer, ND filter, all combined into one. Let's get into the footage, and then I'll give you my opinion at the end, and then you have to go on with your day. 4K 60, ND 8. Shutter speed 120. Walking. Auto everything, no ND filter. All right, ND 8. Shutter speed is at 1/50th of a second. I'm gonna do a run and walk. .4K 24, 1/50th, ND 32 on directly into the sun. I think that's too dark. ISO set to 100, so I'm not going to want to use ISO to try to beef it up. Otherwise, you ruin your picture. So let's see, afternoon or late evening sun directly at it. Let's try 16 directly into the sun. Still probably too much. So let's go with 8. A little bit better. And let's walk. To chase. We're looking for bad stabilization. All right, nothing on. Here we go. Stick and a ball. Nice. One thing we learned, I've learned from doing this a couple times, is that it likes high shutter speeds. Camera's giving me the nod. It agrees. So action cameras with EIS like high shutter speeds to get the image to smooth out. So when you reduce that to the 180 rule, it doesn't like it that much. And you can kind of see from the footage I shot before that when I went to 120, that's one problem I've had with this camera, is that when it does face tracking and it doesn't find you, even though you're right here, it goes crazy. Pocket 2. High shutter speeds. So like our 120, when it matches the 60 frames per second, it does somewhat okay. Got some flickering in the background with the lights in the skies. But other than that, it's not that bad. But when you go down to match the 24 frames a second and do 50, it gets horrible. So it's nothing to do with the filter, it's nothing to do with the camera, it's just the way physics works when it comes to this electronic stuff. If I bust it up to 250, which I'll try in a little, probably later today when it gets a little more sunnier, then it should smooth out. So just don't buy ND filters expecting to do like runs and crazy stuff on bikes and look the footage to come out the way you want it to in a 180 roll. You need the high shutter speed. Okay, we're done with that topic. Now let's talk about cinematic stuff and basically why you buy these filters, because you want to get a better smooth look. So I'm going to use it on a gimbal and I'm going to use it slower to take photos and stuff like that to show you what these filters can do. This might be too much. ND16, 4K 24, 50, 50 per second, ISO 100. Stability, that's too dark. Too dark, my friend. Alright, I'm gonna get the 16. Alright, as promised, ND8 on the Falcon gimbal. You see in the reflection. Sun's going down. Losing all my good light. But this is a good way to use the Freewell ND filters on your Action 2 and turn off the stabilization so we don't have to worry about any of the jitters that are going on when you reduce the shutter speed like we did, giving you more of a cinematic feel. Gives you options, right? That's what it's about, options. So this looks dark. I am probably going to sell my Pocket 2 and use the Action 2 to replace it, and then when I do low light stuff, to break it out this gimbal and put the Action 2 on this gimbal. And I have it mounted. Okay, if I take it off, I freak out. But you saw how I used the mount, the GoPro mount on here, and I'm just going to leave it on there permanently. And then if I need another one, fork out the dough to buy another one. So I like the ND filters on this. Very easy to snap on. It makes the camera look even sexier than it did before. So I am all for these filters. Happy to have them. We'll use them. I didn't get good footage of water. I promise to go back and redo that for the Polarizer. But that Polarizer is pretty much going to stick on this camera all the time because I'm around water a lot, and it'll be used as a screen protector of sorts while it's on there. Okay, enough with the gimbal. If you want to add this to your FPV drone, I think flying around it's going to be fine, but of course if you crash or something, then you're going to be looking for this filter. I don't think a crash by hitting it, it's going to fly off. So the magnets aren't like super strong in that effect. I mean, take a real strong magnet to keep it on anyway when it comes to a crash like that. But just beware, it's not going to be, it's not screwed on, so you have to know that ahead of time. What do we have on right now? We have the ND8, so the lowest one. Let's do a little recording. All right, let's see what it looks like without it on. And with it on. All right, now back to the sun in my face. So these are the two cameras right here. Wide angle lens with no ND filter. ND 8 on the Action 2. And just for a frame of reference, hold on. All right, now we have the ND filter off on the Action 2. And we can take a look around how that looks. And we'll put it back on. I believe, I'm gonna check my settings. Yeah, I checked my settings and it's on auto. So the screen on the Pocket looks really bright, maybe even overexposed. And it looks, of course, with the filter, it looks fine. Catch the ducks. Sorry, geese. I'm in Maryland. I should know better than that. Okay, now the Pocket 2 has an ND filter on. It's ND 32 and has an 8. So it's not matched up, but that's what I have right now. I'm gonna do a nice little small walk toward these flowers. And again, it's on auto. I'm about to go put it on, do the 180 rule here in a second. See if we can get a little cinematic thing going. I just put it on 1/50th of a second, 180 rule for 24p and ISO 100. So let's look. It should be darker because we'll do a little small walk. So I'll try to keep it as smooth as possible with my walk. Again, awesome filters from Freewell. Appreciate you sending me to them for test out. Definitely going to keep them. And we're going to test the polarizer here right now. The ND 1000. You do long exposure stuff for photography. I noticed within, now I got to do a couple more checks, but in the settings I can't drop the shutter speed in video, I think past like 125, I think. So that's the lowest I saw it. So you mainly use it for photography, or you're in a really bright environment. All right, now I have the polarizer on, so let's give it a spin. Try to do it where my fingers aren't in the shot. I'm spinning. Just gotta look at the sky, and then you kind of, what you can do with the screen, of course, with this one, is you can look through the screen and kind of gauge about what you will like the best. With the sun in my eyes, it just making it difficult to see. But there's one thing you can do with this camera versus the Insta360 Go 2, which is kind of more like the competitor, is you can do stuff like this where you can look at the image, and I looked at each image of the long exposure to kind of like say, whoa, that's too bright, and kind of need to reduce it down. If you try something like that with the Insta, unless you got the phone app going and everything else, you're not going to know. You're not going to know, my friend. It's a nice fog coming off, or steam coming off the water. Let's walk over here. Also, with this polarizer on, it's also acting as if a screen protector. So I would probably use this one on the camera a lot. Dang, it's hard to tell. Just to see the filters themselves, they kind of very much match the decor and the feel of the Action 2. So my suggestion is to expand your horizons with the Action 2 and not just do it auto all the time. If you are looking at ND filters and you know about ND filters, right? So you know how they all work. You're just looking at whether or not it works good on the Action 2. Well made. Freewell has been around a while. They made a lot of good ND filters for all different types of cameras. Freewell is on my Pocket too, the one I was using before. So it's funny when I go back and look at some of the filters I have, they seem to be all from Freewell. Not on purpose, it's just the way they seem to be more reasonable, better quality, that kind of thing, easy to get on Amazon. That's why I've always kind of picked them up. Versus like, I got bigger cameras, so like the Peter McKinnon stuff, I'm not gonna go, I'm not doing that. So if you need some ND filters, click the links below, help the channel out. Any more testing you want me to do with these filters, let me know. But I appreciate you watching. Please like, subscribe, very important. Just on a side note, it should be common sense, but with the Smallrig case, you can't use the ND filter. Now I did experiment, so you can put it inside here like this, do the back, and then you can put your camera in. Now that's just about as far as it's going to go. So you have this look, then you have the back. The only part now is that this is not going to be connecting because it's not too far forward for it to connect and work. Now you can still do this, but well, I totally take back what I said about FPV. You can definitely do it this way. Put your ND filter inside of the Smallrig like this, connect it like the way I have here on board the FPV. That way the ND doesn't come off and you still can protect your camera. Boom. That just happened. This is still wide open and vulnerable, but this is now protected. So if you're worried about that, yeah, go for it. But